Hello, my name is Chelsea Teague, and I am the AP coordinator this year for Oregon Mountain High School. And I just want to record this exam proctor training video to give everyone a sense of what we're going to do these next 2 weeks. And yeah, kick it off here at the castle. So some key contacts to get us started. First is myself. Please make sure you save my number in your phone, 505-228-2733. I have also included the numbers of Mr. McNeese and Dr. Baker, who will be assisting us throughout AP testing. We will be using the Remind app, which can text you to communicate during the tests and for you to communicate with us. So please make sure to provide your phone number to me before your assigned test so that you and I can stay in communication before your exam and during your exam if anything pops up. So in your proctor boxes, you will receive a proctor reference guide with a folder for all of the scripts for your exams, as well as procedures before, during, and after the exam process. Please make sure that you familiarize yourself with your proctor packet and the scripts. They've also been highlighted for you. That can be referred to as a reference during this presentation. So first, what do proctors need in order to proctor their exams? First, you will need the printed exam packets, any associated CDs, and all equipment related to these materials. These can be found in your Proctor Go boxes that you will receive before your exam. Printed copies of the non-standard administration reports for any students testing with accommodations. If you are testing a student with accommodations, I will let you know we only have one this year, so that only affects one person. Answer sheets, which will be provided to you in your Go box. The AP ID label sheets for the students taking the exam being administered. You will be provided with a copy of the AP Coordinator's Manual Part 2, a pencil sharpener, and of course, extra pencils and pens for our students. We'll include extra paper, just in case a student's response exceeds the space allotted for the free response booklet, a stapler to attach extra paper, extra calculators for the AP Calculus, Chemistry, Environmental Science, Physics, and Stats course. If you have questions about the use of a calculator on exam, please make sure you check the AP Calculator policy before you give your exams. In your Proctor Go boxes, you will also receive exam in progress and phone prohibition signs to include or to tape up during the exam. A watch, but not a stopwatch. Each room will have at least 2 timepieces as a check against mistiming, and a clock should be visible to all students. That one clock will serve as the official clock for the exam. And so it needs to be visible for all students and proctors, and it cannot be a cell phone or your students' watches or anything like that. Okay. So crucial information for proctors. Test start times. AP policy mandates that the morning exams start between 8 and 9 a.m. local time, and that the afternoon exams start between 12 and 1 p.m. local time. Students have been asked to arrive or be released 30 minutes before their exam start date or start time. Timing the exams. The AP exams are time tests. However, additional time is necessary and should be anticipated for tasks such as distributing materials, completing identification forms on answer sheets, reading instructions aloud, collecting materials, etc. The total time of an AP administration can vary considerably, depending on the number of students involved. I have included also in your Proctor Go boxes timing guides to help you kind of keep track of the time that you're using to fill out all the things and collect all the stuff. And so that way we stay on time. AP ID labels. A personalized AP ID label sheet is provided for each student taking the exam. The student's name is in bold at the top of the IP label sheet. It is crucial that you give each student their correct AP ID label sheet. Each student has a unique AP ID. The student's AP ID label sheet includes their known 2022 AP exam schedule as of the time the label is printed. The AP label identifies the student and helps to ensure the rapid and accurate processing of their exam materials. If a student does not place the AP ID label on their exam materials or does not write their AP ID, the student might not be able to receive their exam score. Students are instructed to place an AP ID label on their answer sheet and their free response booklet. Students must not share their AP ID labels. If a student runs out of labels, they may write their AP ID on the appropriate areas. Students must use their AP ID for all exams they take this year. If a student's AP ID label sheet is missing, or they've run out of labels, or they do not know their AP ID, contact me immediately. Setting up the room. Once you have arrived at your exam room, confirm that you have the correct number of exams for the correct exam subject, all necessary exam materials, and any necessary digital recording equipment. The digital recording equipment is only needed for the Spanish language course, and if you're doing that, I will talk with you further. Exam materials. Students may never assist in transporting exam materials to or from the exam room. This could negate their exam. You'll be given a little cart to push around so that you can transport all exam materials. Confirm that you have an AP ID label sheet for each student who will be taking the exam and correct number of answer sheets. Contact me immediately if you note any discrepancies. Seating requirements. Be sure that the room has the proper number of desks or tables and chairs, and that all students will be correctly seated. All seats must face the same direction. Allow no less than 5 feet between students. Distance between students should be measured from the center of one student to the center of the next student. Failure to follow seating requirements could result in the cancellation of the exam scores. Exam room details. Check that the clock works and that there isn't any subject-related information on the walls. Let me know if the room temperature is uncomfortable. There should be pencil sharpeners and waste baskets in the room. Please post the exam in progress, and phones of any kind are prohibited during the exam, including break signs on the door, and prepare for the student's arrival. What should the students bring to the exam? Students should bring 2 sharpened number 2 pencils with erasers, 2 pens with black or dark blue ink only, a non-smart watch, up to 2 calculators of the appropriate type, and if they're taking the AP Physics exam, a ruler or straight edge. A valid photo ID if they do not attend the school to which they are taking the exam, and their College Board SSD eligibility letter if they are taking an exam with approved testing accommodations. The students should not bring, this is going to be an issue, you're going to have to take stuff and put them in the proper boxes and make sure the students understand, because if students are caught with any of these prohibited materials during an exam, it could cancel not only their exam, but everyone else's exam. The first is electronic equipment. Phones, smartwatches, wearable technology of any kind, laptops, tablets, Bluetooth devices, portable listening and recording devices, MP3, iPod, AirPod, whatever. Cameras or any photographic equipment, access devices that can access the internet, separate timers of any kind, or any other electronic communication device. During the AP Spanish exam, they will be given their own device to do that, or a school-owned device to do that. They're not allowed to have books, compasses, correction fluid, directions, highlighters, notes, mechanical, number 3, or colored pencils. No rulers or straight edges unless it's the physics exam. No protractors, scratch paper, reference guides, maps, or other types of instructions. Calculators unless otherwise distinguished. Watches that have a beep or an alarm. Food or drink. Clothing or shoes with subject-related designs. Earplugs or earpods, and clipboards. The exam administration. When you're ready to begin the exam administration, start by reading and following the directions in the general instructions from the 2021-2022 AP exam instructions. Exam materials should be distributed at the point indicated in the general instructions and the subject-specific protractor script in the 2021-2022 AP exam instructions. Distribute one shrink-wrapped exam packet individually to each student, being sure to hand out the packets in the order you receive them. Do not ask students to hand out or pass back packets to each other. Follow an alternative distribution packets for rows in the exam room. Check that students complete the answer sheet in pencil only. Students need to carefully complete their identification information on the front to answer sheet. And free response booklet. Students should write their full legal name on the answer sheet. Without accurate information, exam materials won't be scored and students won't receive their scores. Students also need to put the AP exam label from the multiple choice booklet on their answer sheet and the AP exam label from the orange booklet on their free response booklet when applicable. Understanding where students need to fill in information and affix labels will help you instruct them in accurately completing the exams or the steps on exam day. You can refer to the samples of the exam booklet covers, sample of APID label sheets, and the answer sheet I provided. Once the general instructions have been completed, move on to the instructions for the subject being administered. Admitting students. As students arrive, mark the roster accordingly. Students should not choose their own seat. They already will have their seats assigned to them, and I'll give you that sheet. Students should not be seated alphabetically or follow any other expected pattern. Everyone must face the same direction. Section 1, multiple choice. Before the exam begins, note the time. Be sure it is between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. local time, or between 1 to 2 p.m. local time in accordance with the published start time for the subject you are administering. If it is before the start of the hour, wait until the appropriate time to begin. Note and post the start and stop times for each section after reading the relevant instructions. Do not write the start and stop times in advance of the administration, or you may affect the testing time. In general, students should not be admitted after the start of the exam. However, if a student arrives late, but before the other exam takers have finished filling out the identification information on their answer sheet, we consider the cause of the student's late arrival to be beyond the student's control. Then you may admit the testing student. After the exam, you should sit with the student to supervise the completion of any outstanding identification fields on the answer sheet. Schools are not required to admit or test latecomers. Students who arrive late must follow the directions of testing site personnel. Once the exam begins, walk up and down the rows and around the room. Check that students are working on the appropriate exam section and that they are using a pencil for the multiple choice section. For exams with calculators, make sure the students are using a calculator on the approved sections or parts only. With the first hour of the exam, make sure that the number of students taking the exam plus the number of undistributed exam packets equals the number of total exam packets that you received. If the numbers don't match, let the students finish the section they are working on. At the end of the section, stop the exam and locate the materials. If the materials cannot be found, contact me further for instructions. While students are testing, complete a seating chart. At the end of the multiple choice section, students are directed to seal the open sides of the exam booklet with white seals, which are provided with the exam booklet. AP policy states that no one except the student may have access to the multiple choice questions. Proctors may not open the exam booklets. Collect exams and answer sheets in the same order they were distributed. Check that each answer sheet has an APID label and an AP exam label applied. The AP European History, US History, and World History Modern exams have a separate section. 1, Part B, short answer response. These exam materials should be collected in the order stated in the exam instructions. After the multiple choice booklets, short answer response booklets, if applicable, and other exam answer sheets have been collected, recount everything before dismissing the students for the break. Be sure that your used booklets and answer sheets are counted correctly. The break. There's a 10-minute monitored break between the multiple choice and free response sections. The exam room must remain supervised. All exam materials, including AP ID labels, must remain in the room during the break. Students are not permitted to use their cell phone, AirPods, or anything like that at any time during the break. No reference, textbooks, no consulting with teachers or students, no talking to each other about the exam. Students are not permitted to send text messages, emails, social networking sites, access electronic equipment of any kind during the test. Again, express the seriousness of this. This can negate their test as well as others. Students may have a drink or a snack during this time. Students may not leave the designated area without permission. If you have an additional proctor, the bathroom should be checked during and after the break. Make sure students return to their assigned seats after break. Section 2, free response. The second half of the exam consists of free response essays, problems, and/or spoken responses. The free response section of all exams has 2 booklets, an orange booklet and a free response booklet. Students must write their responses in the free response booklet, not in the orange booklet. The orange booklet contains questions or reference material depending on the subject. In the free response booklet for some exams, students need to fill in the circle that corresponds to the question, task, or essay they are completing on that page. Other exams have designated space for student responses. The short answer response and free response booklets are designated to include sufficient space for student responses. However, if the student needs additional space to complete their responses, provide paper. They must print only their AP ID label, the title of the exam, and the question number on the top of each extra sheet of paper. After the exam, have students staple the extra sheets to their first page corresponding to their question in their exam booklet. Students are not permitted to keep extra paper that is provided during the exam. An incident report needs to be completed for students who use extra paper. Do not provide extra paper for students to write drafts or response or notes. Unscheduled breaks. A student may go alone to the restroom at any time. 2 or more can go if a proctor accompanies them. Remember, the exam room must never be left unattended. Be sure students don't take materials from the room and that they leave their exam booklets closed on their desk with the answer sheets below. Don't give them extra testing time to students who use the bathroom during unscheduled breaks. After the exam, collect all exam materials. Check the front cover of each section 2 booklet to be sure that the student has placed an AP ID label on it. Also check that the student has completed the important identification information area on which is either on the front or back cover of the free response booklet, depending on the exam subject. And that answers have been written in the free response booklet, not in the orange booklet. If a student mistakenly wrote the responses in the orange booklet, you'll need to follow the instructions for the incident. Answers written in an orange booklet instead of the free response booklet. You must not transcribe the student's response or let them transcribe their responses. After dismissing the students, count the free response booklets and orange booklets. Count all master CDs as well, if applicable. Again, be sure that your numbers match. Check that you're not missing anything before dismissing the students. Except for emergencies, students may not leave the exam room early. Make sure you collect the AP ID label from all students following the directions in the AP exam instructions. The best practice is to keep the label sheets of those students who are taking more AP exams this year and separate the label sheets of those who aren't taking any more exams this year. You'll remind students that if they haven't already done so, June 20th is the deadline to sign in on MyAP to indicate or change the recipient for their free score report. You'll remind students that they may only discuss the content if the specific free response question on the exam they took on the College Board 2 days after the exam. If the questions are not released, they may not be discussed with anyone. Make a final check of the testing room to be sure nothing has been left behind. All the exam materials must be collected and returned to me in A105 immediately after the exam. Account for all exam booklets, answer sheets, AP ID labels, master CDs, and student response recordings. Return a completed roster as the seating chart, and if warranted, an incident report. Remember, students may never transport exam materials to or from the exam room. Forms. Mandatory completion of the seating chart must complete This must be completed during the testing for every exam administration. Reporting incidents. An incident is a disturbance or situation that occurs during the exam that could have an impact on the student's score. An AP exam instructions list for incidents for how to resolve the incidents in the exam room and what should be documented about the incident. It is important that you report all relevant details of the incident to me. If an incident occurs during the exam administration or you have questions about the IR form, contact me. AP score cancellation form. If a student tells you they want to cancel their exam score, tell them they need to complete the AP cancellation form and follow the instructions and submit it by June 15th. Calculator release policy. The AP biology, calculus, chemistry, environmental science, physics, and statistics exams require or permit students to use a calculator during all or part of the exam. If a student chooses to take the exam without a calculator, the student must hand copy and sign the calculator release statement. The signed statement indicates that they won't be able to challenge the AP score because they did not use a calculator on the exam. The signed statement must be returned to me after the exam. Additional forms. The AP question exam ambiguity and error form. If a student feels that a question has an error or is unclear, advise the student to fill out the AP exam ambiguity and error form available at apstudents.org/ambiguity error form and follow the instructions there. Non-standard administration report, NAR. This form is used only for students with approved College Board approved accommodations. AP Spanish language and culture. This exam requires the use of CD players for the master audio and the use of a recording device for student recorded responses. Review the exam instructions, paying special attention to the proctor directions for the use of the equipment. Do not stop the master CDs at any time before the end of the recorded material. No breaks are allowed between the writing and speaking sightseeing parts of the exam or while waiting to take the sight-singing part of the exam. For language exams, you'll have a master listening CD and a master double CD set that includes a CD for the writing part, the argumentative essay task, and a CD for the speaking part. If students will be recording in separate rooms, there will be master CDs for each room. Student responses will be recorded using digital recording equipment and saved as MP3 files. AP Spanish literature and culture, you'll have a master listening CD. Additional proctor information. Although students should already be aware that phones of any kind are prohibited, the general exam instruction script includes text for you to have students, ask students if they have the devices. If a student has one, ask for it to be turned off and collected. AP policy states that no one should enter the exam room except for the students, the proctors, and/or the AP coordinator. The AP teacher for the subject you're proctoring cannot be in the exam room before, during, or immediately following the exam, including during any breaks, and they cannot communicate with students during the test, including during breaks. The exam room must never be left unattended, including during the break. Students may bring hand sanitizer with them to the exam room, but it must remain under their desk during the test. So the AP exam schedule for Oregon Mountain High School for the spring of 2022. Week 1, we start off on Monday with US government in the morning, chemistry in the afternoon. Tuesday morning, environmental science. Tuesday afternoon, psychology. Wednesday morning, English literature. Thursday afternoon, statistics. Friday morning, AP European history. Friday morning, AP US history. Week 2, Monday morning, calculus AB. Monday afternoon, computer science principles. Tuesday morning, English language. Wednesday morning, Spanish language. Thursday morning, world history. Thursday afternoon, physics 1. Testing locations and proctor needs. We've already divided up who's proctoring where, and you should have received an email of where you are proctoring. If you have any questions, please email me at ctig@lcps.net or call me or text me at 505-228-2733. If you have any questions about the policies and procedures we have reviewed today, please do not hesitate to contact me either by email or by phone. You can contact me by email at ct@lcps.net or by phone at 505-228-2733. Please review all of your instructions and information. Contact me with questions as soon as possible. Thank you for assisting with this year's AP exam administration. Your time and effort are greatly appreciated. Thank you for proctoring the AP exams this year here at the castle.